All right. Let me know when you're recording.
All right, let's go.
All right. I don't know how to do this now. It's been a while. I feel like, All right, let's do this. Okay, you ready? You ready? Here we go. Good evening and welcome to Geeksphere TV. We're back. I'm Brad. He's white. You're very white. Look at you. You look like an albino.
Oh man, there's this thing over here, just in this direction here. It's called the sun, and I've got too much of it. You can take it back. You've given us too much sun.
Mate, this global warming, she's all good for you guys down there. How you going, man? It's been good. We're on to our new season, new lineup, new format, new everything at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, look, actually it'd be fair to say that each one of us with the Geeksphere side of things has had something significant in terms of change for the last little while.
Yes.
So, let's start with you. What have you been up to, Mr. Bradley?
Oh, working. Lots and lots of working, traveling, lots of new stuff coming through. Yeah, it's all been around work for me. My work life has expanded and increased. Let's just say that. In a good way. In a very good way.
Now, it would be fair to say that you've changed jobs recently. Well, from the last time we did a podcast to this time, you've actually changed roles within your within Microsoft, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm inside Azure Core Engineering. Been there for a little bit now, so yeah, it's all fun and games at the moment. We're having a lot of fun.
Nice. So you've literally gone full Skynet now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
For me, I've actually moved away from the job that I was doing before, and I'm back at a media company again, running technical operations there, which is a whole lot of madness, jelly beans, everything.
Yeah, craziness.
Everything from toilet paper through to transmission sites. I think my role covers.
Yeah, you just got to find the people to clean the toilets. That's all.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So one of the cool things I've been sort of actually just doing was I got a chance to in July to go on a 4-day road trip and fly around America with my quads with a couple of guys from some of the leading pilots in the world, and that was I'll post some videos of that up. We're just editing some stuff now for that, but yeah, if you're interested in quads and freestyle flying and FPV and stuff, watch the space. We're going to have some stuff coming up on this channel, so just wanted to mention that, let everyone know. Okay, tech news, let's do this. All right, so in the last 5-6 hours, big breaking news has been that Google Plus is gone ski.
Yes,
so it
finally,
seems
we've killed it.
Yeah, it's gone. So it seems that Google have had a reasonable to medium, we're not quite sure, data breach, and they knew about it in March, and they didn't let anybody know. And one of the sort of, I think, results of that has meant that they're scrambling a little bit, and the announcement has come out that Google Plus is gone. Apparently, here you go, interesting fact for you, Mr. Parker, and you can tell me whether you fall into this. 90% of all Google Plus sessions only lasted less than 5 seconds.
That does not surprise me at all. I mean, what were people doing with Google Plus?
But you were a Google Plus user, weren't you?
We all were. Come on, admit it.
I can't remember if I was or not. I don't think I was.
We all had our sessions in Google Plus, and in fact, to be fair, we had to have our sessions in Google Plus because that's what Google had enforced on us.
That's right.
For the profile identity around YouTube, especially.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we all got merged across, but yeah, looks like it was a proxy through, but they're gone, man. So it's gonna be, everything's been torn down pretty quickly, and I do think in the current tech climate we're in, since we last recorded with all these data breaches and Facebook and just continue, I think Google could be in a bit of trouble with this one because it seems to be there's a bit of an appetite to go after tech companies, especially here in the US at the moment. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that down in New Zealand, but there's a real appetite that tech companies are evil, all of them.
Is that's specifically a lot to do with the EU, right? I mean, the EU are very tight on privacy issues and stuff like that. So I'd imagine there would be a whole bunch of legislators in the EU will be thinking, what happened there? We should find out some more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the EU's part of it. I think over here in the US at the moment, I was reading an article that Apple and Google had to go to Congress and explain. I'm going to use air quotes here because I can. Their liberal bias towards against Trump and his administration. So there's been quite a bit where tech companies have either, I don't know how to say it, like they've basically been caught out by being anti Donald Trump, and Google's one with their searches, and there's been some emails going through and some videos posted. Facebook's obviously had their troubles with the Russian stuff. Apple's been caught out. And I think Uber was another one that got caught out. Not too sure on Uber. I need to double check that one. But yeah, there's quite a bit going on between the EU and sort of this whole bias against politicians at the moment. It's kind of interesting times. Stay under the radar.
Well, actually, now would probably be a good time to talk about how difficult it is to stay under the radar when you're transiting into New Zealand. Have you come across this new law that we've got?
So tell me about it because I have an opinion on this. Because this was, just so you give you a context, this was on CNN, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, and CBS morning news shows. So you're looking at, I'm taking a rough stab here. 120 million people saw this article on TV.
And all of them thought the same thing. Where's New Zealand?
They thought hobbits. No, everyone I meet they either think I'm British, and when I say from New Zealand, they go, oh, Lord of the Rings, or they think of some movie. They're straight down.
Yeah, true. It's our rich cultural heritage of Peter Jackson's movies.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. No, the border rules or the legislation that enforces customs activities in the country are now asking Kiwis, and in fact anyone coming into the country, I believe, to hand over their passwords to their devices or allow their devices to be able to be searched for content. So, they're specifically targeting the child porn type thing, which is everyone agrees is something that they probably should do, but this is without any warrant, and only it's at the discretion of. I was reading this the other day. It's at the discretion of the customs officer, and they can just force you to hand over your device with the password so that they can jump on and have a look at content. So, yeah, I mean it's an interesting Orwellian type feel to things right now.
So I was just reading up on this one before we started. So did you know that border officials in New Zealand have searched over 540 electronic devices at New Zealand airports in 2017?
I didn't know
that's
that.
quite a lot. Yeah, that's quite a lot. So that's coming from, where is it? From what's your border? Not the border police. I'm thinking of Australian bloody drama TV. What is it? Your New Zealand border customs and border people places.
Right.
And if you don't, by the way, if you say no, it's a 5,000 New Zealand dollar fine. So let's just understand here. It's not chump change. If it was like $100 or something, you might say no and pay the fine. $5,000. But I have a question back to you. A lot of my devices that I carry around, look, I don't mind opening my iPad, but if they ask me to open a work business device, I'm just trying to think. I know of other tech companies that have a similar policy that you're not allowed to, because we either have fingerprint or retina, or you have to be on the network to be able to go, the whole lot of stuff like that. Or so what do I do if I can't log on? Am I going to get fined $5,000 because I can't open my business device?
That's a really interesting question, actually, because um, there is circumstances where products won't allow you to log on without talking to the corporate servers. So,
Yep.
which is a
What if
security feature, obviously.
what happens if you've got MFA and you require your phone to log on? Now, what are you not allowed to have active when you're at a customs area? Your phone, it's got to be off, right? In theory.
That's true.
So, and if let's just say you've just landed and you don't have a data package, you can't unlock your phone, you can't unlock your device. So I find it very interesting. Look, it's I've had to, as part of the US system over here as we're going through, I've had to give up I would have had to give up my social media accounts as part of doing your green card process over here. So they ask for passwords and usernames. I got rid of all my social media. I got rid of everything bar LinkedIn. And I've been social media free for about 18 months now, must have been, give or take. Maybe a little bit less.
Yep.
About July. About that time. And it's very great, but it'd be interesting to see how they would react if you said, I don't have that, or you can't do it because it's a business device, right? And you're going to choke on your food there. If people can't work out, he's sculling his dinner.
I'm not eating my dinner at the same time as doing a podcast at all.
No, never. But yeah, look, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't have this when I go to other countries, and I've gone to quite a few in the past few years. So yeah, I don't quite understand what New Zealand's. Sorry, I get what they're trying to stop, and I think we all agree it's the right thing. I just don't know if this is the right approach, because all it's going to take is for a tourist to be on the receiving end of this, and this will go viral like crazy. Chinese tourist fined $5,000 for not unlocking his Huawei phone. Boom, dude, that will go international faster than you can say.
Look, I tell you what my big concern about this is, and it's not, my concern is that it's not going to solve the problem. What it's going to do is it's going to push the problem even more underground. So,
yes.
If the goal is to target the transfer of child pornography, for example, what's going to happen is those that doing child pornography stuff are going to go, oh, okay, well, if they search my phone and the devices I bring in on stuff, then I'm going to use other means in which I can deliver into the country, right? So all it's doing is it's just chasing stuff away. So I just
Correct.
really don't understand what the potential is and what they're trying to really target here. The other concern I have is what's the enforcement around the use of the data they're capturing? What are they keeping?
Yes.
And how are they managing that? I'm just a bit concerned about the privacy aspect of that side of things. And will it mean that they then have rights to install or embed software on my phone if they have suspicion? Now, as far as I'm aware in New Zealand law, there should be, you should still need a warrant to do that sort of stuff. But the activity that a warrant to install software to track and trace and backdoor and all that sort of stuff. What the power the customs agents has is just to search and look. And I don't think that requires a warrant. I'm really confused as to how that's all being achieved, really. It's an unusual one, but I don't know. Does it chase people away from New Zealand? I don't know. I mean, if you have nothing to hide, then I guess you can say, so be it. Let's go through the door of New Zealand. We're all good. But again, it's your privacy. So I don't know. It's a very unusual, weird, and surprising.
I think in the current times that we live in now, where privacy and all these other movements are a lot hotter than they were 18 months ago, right? And again, we just spoke about the Google stuff. I would say that they're going to probably get quite spanked. Facebook are in a lot of trouble. I think something like this, all it's going to take is for some tourist where he or she says a photo was taken off my device of me, and what's been done with it. What happens, and especially with young millennials at the moment, they tend to like their nudes of themselves and stuff. What's going to stop them from copying that off, and we don't know where it's gone? So I think there's more questions than answers. I know what they're trying to achieve. I just don't think they've thought this through properly.
No, and maybe it's a test case that other parts of the world are going to keep an eye on. So, anyway, keep
Yeah.
keep an eye on this space. In
Great.
some
New
ways,
Zealand's a
New
guinea pig.
Zealand's a
Awesome.
very liberal space, and we're learning and growing and doing things a little bit outside of the sphere than the rest of the world. And in some cases, we're doing dumb things as well. So, anyway, speaking of dumb things, what else is happening?
I was just going to go. Well, I don't know if this is dumb. I haven't quite worked out this one. So Facebook have you seen this new portal? They're calling it the portal. So smart display portal things. So just to frame it for the listeners, over here in the US, especially at the moment, Amazon with their Echo devices, they've got like a like a Skyping type device that can hook through. They've got the Echoes, they've got the dots, they've got these photo albums, they've got all these devices which allow you to do video, audio, listening, and everything. And they're huge. I mean, I personally here have Alexa throughout the house. She controls my lights. She hooks into my Plex. She does a whole lot of stuff. And the video stuff does appeal for me. So Facebook have launched it, and they're calling it Portal. And they've got a sort of like an iPad on a side one. And then they've also got another one where I think it looks like an iPad or a touch screen is mounted vertically with speakers and a camera at the top. So interesting concept. The one that's horizontal looks nice. It looks like a small TV. Look, I got rid of Facebook for other reasons, but even if I wanted to, I probably would have got rid of them anyway because I don't like what the company says. Would you let Facebook run your video sessions and stuff at the moment? Because I know people are dropping them in droves at the moment. Like really getting on.
Yeah, I'm out of Facebook and Instagram at the moment, just because I can't even trust them with the photos I don't really care about. I mean, they're shocking.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it.
And sorry, for the 10-inch version, which is the iPad on the side, let's call it that, $199 US, and for the 15.6-inch horizontal one, that's $349 US. So they're not cheap.
You know what? Why? Why have they done two distinctly different devices that do distinctly the same things?
Yeah.
I don't understand that,
and what
for starters.
What problem they're trying to solve?
So they run off Alexa commands as well, apparently. So you can talk to it like an Alexa device, right?
Yeah. They're hooking into most things as well. But if I'm gonna if I'm gonna hook into something, it'll be the Amazon Alexa ecosystem. And I get it that there's a lot of third parties plugging into that, but I just don't trust what Facebook's gonna be doing with my back end data. I just really don't.
No. And there's a lot of history to that too. So you and me and everyone else in the Facebook world going, really? Is this a good time to be doing this, Facebook? I mean, I get it. They need to keep momentum going for shareholders' sake, but honestly, they need to sort out some of their fundamentals first.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing with a lot of tech companies at the moment is sorting out your fundamentals, giving the consumer the confidence that things are safe, right? I think there's a real confidence issue at the moment, whether it's Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, obviously we're seeing with Google what's going on there. Any of these social media platforms at the moment, it's around having confidence. And I think we're all skeptics at the moment around where things are going. Even on the cloud and storage. I mean, look, was it 2 years ago we had the fappening happening with friggin' the iCloud hacks, and there's just been the last few years. Yeah, I don't know. It's just consumers don't have a lot of confidence in their service.
No, they don't. Now, if I may segue, consumer confidence got smacked around a little bit this week when Supermicro came out in Bloomberg reporting that Supermicro were shipping servers which had spy devices, or sorry, spy device is the wrong thing. It had modified chips installed into their circuit boards, which would allow a command and control style dial back system to China for the board. So you could, the Chinese government could then backdoor into your server and do whatever they pleased, basically.
Right.
So this news came out from Bloomberg. Was a report. It was pretty sensational when you read it. It had a degree of plausibility to it that you kind of thought interesting, and there was a few little people, a few people that came out that said, "Oh, yeah, it is quite plausible. You can use it to inject code into the BIOS effectively. So it's like a think of it as an additional piece of memory added onto the board, so when the board booted up, it also read this code as well as its BIOS code and ran them all at once." And where they had talked about where potentially this chip may have resided certainly seemed to be, according to some experts, within the realms of possibility in terms of the right kind of lines and circuitry that you could tap into. So off started the story, huge traction. In the middle of the story, Amazon were dragged into it. Amazon supposedly, when they brought Elemental, which is a video streaming service, they did the due diligence and they discovered that all of the Elemental gear supposedly had this chip in it. Elemental, of course, OEM'd Supermicro gear for their hardware. And then the story apparently also alluded to the fact that when Apple were doing search for Siri before, I think they're using Bing now for doing search, or they were using Bing. I can't recall what they're doing now. But originally they started building their own search engine, and they started building that platform out of Supermicro servers. And apparently during their due diligence, they discovered the chip, but threw out Supermicro and said, "We're never touching you again," and never told anyone about it. Anyway, fast forward about 24 hours into the story, Apple and Amazon have come out saying there is absolutely no way this is happening. This has never happened. And then I believe Apple brought out their executives levels and said, and they all came out saying, no, this is totally, we've all gone through the company and no one knows where this story has come from. And so then a lot of questions started getting asked, and sure enough, it's turned out that Bloomberg may have actually just built a massive story around rumor, innuendo, and theoreticals, really. And they're not defending it.
Yeah. Wouldn't be the first time it's happened, though, either, would it? Not from Bloomberg, but just in general.
Well, for Bloomberg specifically, they've done this before. And they've had created articles which had also had the same degree of plausibility, but yet no sort of facts. And one of the things that people point out is that the stories kept bringing up a lot of detail around, unnamed sources came up with this. It's like, well, that's great. You better start bringing these unnamed sources to the surface because no one actually believes it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a really interesting story. It started off quite sensational, and it's turned out to be a bit of a... No. I mean, it is Cybersecurity Week here in New Zealand, and I believe it's Cybersecurity Week globally anyway. Month globally anyway. So whether it was Bloomberg just trying to grab a headline, who knows?
Yeah, look, the story did the rounds for quite a bit, and the Google thing seems to have muddied it out. If there wasn't any tech news, if it was a slow tech week, I think this thing would have probably had a bit more legs in it, and it would have done the rounds a little bit more. In the last 6 to 10 hours, I've seen the Google stuff just go everywhere because they've actually come out and admitted it, and it's dominating. So I think the Bloomberg guys might get away with this one without getting with too much scrutiny.
I've seen a lot of journalists online really ticked off with how this story has panned out.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of journalists go to the wall for Bloomberg's to talk about how possible and feasible it is with a whole bunch of people. Now, they've all had to retract their stories now. So, yeah, it's really interesting watching it all unfold. You may have noticed that right now it looks like the sun has actually set fire to my house. So bright in here right now.
You got a flare coming off your head.
Yeah, I could probably take up residences that float and globe around the world that used to sparkle at night. The Speaking of sparkling at night, the new surfaces are not sparkling at night at all. They're nice and black.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to be... You're a Microsoftie, Brad, so I can understand that you've got to, you probably can't comment too much, but I'm just going to come out and say it, and I feel, in some ways, that Microsoft may have appled the Surface event a little bit. And
what do you mean?
I explain on that. It seems that there was a lot of launch details, a lot of hoopla around devices that were just a bit of an upgrade.
Yep.
I mean, they look nice, but they don't look much different from the Surface that I've got already. Which I can't see.
It's iterations.
Yeah.
It's Core 8 of Intel's Core 8, or the Surface Studio has got really nice graphics updates. The new Surface laptop, the black version, is very nice. Very nice. And it's great, but again, it's just speeds and feeds, right? As we know with a lot of these things, there's only one new product that they announced in that whole thing. And can you take a guess what it was?
Now, I was absolutely flabbergasted at this. The new product that was announced was, and I mean, you could take left field and then you could park it next to the field that this came out of. I mean, it was headphones, and I'm like,
yes,
Surface headphones. I'm like, what? I mean, it's almost as left field as the HoloLens was, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're $349 US, so they're at the upper end, they're at the Bose and that, the Sennheiser range and stuff like that. So, look, interesting. Yeah, I personally I missed all, we just too busy at the moment. I missed all the consumer stuff, the announcements. So I read it online and I thought there was a typo. But hey, look, we'll have to wait and see how it all goes. But it's interesting.
Here's what I'm wondering if you and I don't talk about Microsoft stuff because we made the agreement that what stays at work stays at work. I somewhat see a HoloLens-esque type of approach to a hardware launch here, in the sense that I can see that Microsoft are potentially playing towards the spoken command device market, right? So this headset supports Cortana, so I can talk to Cortana on it, is my understanding. Now, whilst Cortana is possibly lagging a little bit in terms of uptake against the likes of Google Home and Alexa, my understanding is that you can actually get Alexa support through Cortana anyway now.
Correct, they're partnerships. Yep.
And so I can just sort of see it as part of Microsoft's play to actually drive more of that voice command functionality into some of its products. So they fired off the HoloLens because they wanted to really do mixed reality stuff within business and potentially consumer space as well. And so by doing the headphone thing, I think they're doing the same thing where they're trying to kickstart the use of an alternative user interface into the marketplace, right? And let's face it, voice command is actually really starting to take off. I mean, it is really big.
Like I said earlier on, we use Alexa for pretty much, all our lights and everything. I think the challenge right now is that there's Alexa, and then everyone else is a very, very, very distant second. Very distant. I don't know what it's like in New Zealand, but over here, the Google stuff, like it launched and people were like, this is great. And then all the reviews came out and then it was taken back. And then it's slowly starting to get a little bit of traction. But the Alexa stuff is they're just pounding out like lots of new stuff. And the integration and all the devices and like everything integrates with Alexa by default. So I think it's Alexa and then everything else will sort of catch up the crumbs a little bit towards, it'll take time, but it's definitely an Alexa world over here.
Alexa and Google Home are doing quite well here in New Zealand. In fact, just recently, I have brought this in from the States. It's a Broadlink infrared remote for Wi-Fi. So
Ooh.
this will sit in my lounge very shortly, and will control my air conditioning and television and everything. And then my Alexa device will be able to talk directly. I can directly talk to this, and it will be able to control my air conditioning when it gets too hot. It will switch it on, so before you come home and that sort of thing. So we're really starting to see that take off here in New Zealand. In fact, my second and third Alexa apps are just going through the store at the moment in terms of being launched. So I'm really pushing hard to get Alexa stuff running because there's a big demand for it now. So
Yeah, Alexa's everywhere.
Yep.
Like we've got like you said, we've got Ecobee, which is our air conditioning. We've got all our lights. We've got Plex. We're hooked into a couple of other things as well now. Hell, I even saw the other day, and listeners tell me, I saw that there was an Alexa-powered microwave out. So, look, it's coming everywhere again. Alexa's there. The Google stuff started with a hiss and a roar, died off. I'd say it's very low, slow adoption at the moment. It's going to be like anything at the moment. It's about people developing on the platform, right? It's all about the platform. And the Alexa platform is slick, dude. It is really good.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Hey, I'm gonna go left field here for a second. One thing I forgot to tell you, my son recently got an Oculus Rift.
Oh yes.
The Marvel edition. And can I just say to the Oculus Rift people, congratulations. It blew my freaking mind away how good this thing was. And they just did a massive update to the software, and the ecosystem is just got huge. I had some friends over the other night. We were walking around the space station. The immersion is top of the line, and I think like we paid $3.99 for the entire kit, including 6 games and a whole lot of stuff, and it is well worth it. If you are looking at virtual reality, that is just mind-blowingly good, dude. Just hats off, Oculus. You've done a great job, phenomenal job.
Now, just on that, you were talking to Craig and I about hardware for that because you're a bit worried about the PC being grunty enough for it. Did you end up having to invest more in your hardware, or did it seem to work?
Seemed to work. So we've got my son's got 16 gig of RAM, NVIDIA 1050 Ti in there. He's got an 8-core machine, and we've had no problem with the games, no frames. It's smooth. The games are, the load times, but that seems to be a big thing with these VR games. They have like a 40-second load time, but you're sitting in these virtual lobbies. My son's created a house, and you can interact. It's where you can play bow and arrows, you play ping pong in there. It is unbelievably good, and then the game loads, and it's just really sweet. The one thing they've got, and this is going to sound really funny, with the headsets, you obviously put the goggles on, but they've got the sound, and the sound is just, it's like 3D sound. It is so good. You start looking around behind you. They've got it down packed really nicely. Look, if I was being nitpicked, the only thing I'd say is you have a cable, you're tethered to the PC via an HDMI cable, or it's going to be USB-C, I think, in the future. And if it was untethered, it would just be staggeringly good. But look, as it is right now, I've actually been using it a little bit. Brilliant, just amazing. Really, really impressed with what those guys have done. And I think now you and I, about 5, I want to say maybe 6 years ago, it wasn't Armageddon. There was that big thing at Vector Arena, and they had the roller coaster. Yeah, Digital Nations. The Digital Nations had an Oculus or something similar there at the time, and we did the roller coaster ride.
Yes, that's right.
And I've got the latest version of that roller coaster, and I was playing it. I was using it the other night, and it is scary how good that stuff is now. Like I said, just you can with your virtual you can have a giant TV screen and you can watch movies inside the goggles like an IMAX, and you can control the depth. You can do everything you want. You can have YouTube. It plugs into the Steam VR stuff. It's a really slick, fun thing to play.
You can get Plex for the VRs now for Oculus, I think.
Ooh.
So you can sit there and watch your Plex library in your VR goggles.
Oh, I'm going to have a look at that. That's going to be good.
It
Okay.
it kind of seems a little. No, I'm not going to use the word. It's kind of like, well, hey, I enjoy movies and I don't enjoy people around me, so I'm going to put my Oculus Rift on and everyone can go away.
Oh, it's just the immersion experience of having this giant screen and the way that they've just got it right. They've just really got it right. So yeah, look, I know coming left field, but that is definitely one I would say. If you do get the opportunity, have a go of it. It's well worth it. It's well worth it.
Nice.
Money well spent.
Any
Hey,
other
now
gadgets
talking
you're
about,
playing with?
yeah, I got lots. We could do that in another show though. I got tons.
It's Cybersecurity Week here in New
Yeah,
Zealand, and I wanted to pick up one thing to show you guys. Can you see that, Brad? Apart from
it's
the
like a USB cable.
Yep. So this is a USB cable. This comes from China. Um, it has nothing on it other than to say that it's a data charging cable, right? And
Right.
you're going to love this. Open this up. So for all intents and purposes, it's got the USB connector on it. Just went out of focus a bit there. And your USB connector. But inside this is a secret removable sleeve. And when you open it up, on the inside, it has the ability to take a SIM card, and it has some circuitry on it. This will GPS locate and spy gadget. You can dial into it, or it will dial you, and you can listen to anyone talking in the room with this cable plugged into a USB port.
So it's a listening device basically.
It's a listening device, but you wouldn't notice it for anything else because it just looks like a USB cable.
That's cool. And does it work as a USB cable as well?
Yep, full high-speed USB charge cable.
So you could have that plugged into a external camera,
Yep,
for instance, and the camera could be working, and you could hear the conversation with the camera, but B, you could also hear other people in the room.
yep.
That's pretty cool. Have you tried it out?
Yeah, and it does use GSM, which is an older cell phone technology. So I've got to go and get a Vodafone SIM for it because it's the only network that does GSM here in New Zealand. But the lesson, we what was I going to say? I mean, this has a very specific use to it, right? But
Yeah.
how many times do we go to places and just plug our phone into a USB charge port, or and then start browsing something on the phone while we're trying to message our wives or husbands or whatever, or partners or friends, or Instagram up a picture. So the phone's unlocked and we're plugged it into a charge station. Now some phones are pretty smart and they'll stop devices from being able to attack a login through the USB port, but in some cases there is some techniques that you can use to get through that. So we're just quite happy to plug into random network cables, or in this case USB cables, and go, nah, it should be fine, don't worry about it, and not think about the consequences. So a little bit of Cybersecurity Week thing is just be aware of what you're plugging your stuff into. And when you go into this is a big one, when you go into meetings, boardroom meetings especially, and you find random USB cables plugged into the power, and you think, oh, that's a nice, useful charge cable. Don't always trust them. By the way, this comes in an Apple Lightning Connector version, which I've got upstairs as well. So
Scary. How much was it?
And it's only $15 New Zealand.
Jeez, that's scary. That's
Anyway.
scary, man. Anyway, okay. So scary. So last night at 7:21 p.m. here on the west coast of the US, we had some cool stuff happening up in our skies. SpaceX launched on the west for the first time ever on the west coast, but the key thing is here they landed on the west coast too. Normally they've been doing some stuff out on floating pontoons, drone boats out and then out in the ocean somewhere. So you could see this pretty much from everywhere around. They launched, I think it was an Argentinian or Brazilian, was it? Vandenberg Air Base, Argentinian satellite went up. It was just gorgeous to watch. Successful landing. We've now got SpaceX launches happening on the West Coast here. Now, for those of you that don't know, a lot of the retrieval that happens on the West Coast, they have to actually chuck it in a plane and get it back over to the East Coast of the US, which has a high cost to it. In Seattle, we also have a huge SpaceX operation up here. So it's kind of cool. We can keep it on the West Coast and do a whole lot of stuff from here as well now.
I missed it. I missed the whole thing.
I know. Craig and I were watching it. It was gorgeous. They did a fantastic job. I'm a big SpaceX. I love it. I love what they're doing. I love Bezos and his stuff. I love Musk and his stuff. I think it's awesome. I want to see us going to the moon again.
Yep. Actually, speaking of Musk, there's an interview with Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk. Now, it's got a lot of notoriety because Elon Musk was smoking weed. I say that in quotation marks because was he, or was it just a bit of a prank? But what he had to say about a few things is well worth the time to go and spend watching that episode. He had a lot of great things to say about how people are perceived, how you perceive yourself, and really interesting topics starting to come through from guys like that, you know. So
yeah,
nice.
And he's under a lot of pressure too. A lot of pressure at the moment.
Yeah.
Hey, my final thing for you is a game.
Oh, yep.
There's so much to cover, so we'll break a lot of this up to next week. Fallout. I've been playing. My son's been playing Fallout. Actually, I've been playing Fallout. The iPad edition one, where you've got to look after build the commune and do little bits and pieces.
Fallout Shadow.
Yeah, I've got into that a little bit. So Fallout 76 is coming, and it's kind of interesting. It looks like it's a full online one, multiplayer not multiplayer. You can have a few mates. You can go around. Have you seen much about this at all?
Only trailers, and the big feature is multiplayer, right? Being able to multiplayer online. That's going to be huge. I did question Jonathan at the Game Guide and Geekery, what's the point? It's just another iteration of Fallout. But the multiplayer thing can't really be easily downplayed like that. It is going to be significant.
Now it's online only too.
Yes.
So there is no single player mode. So this is, and everyone's saying this is not Fallout 5. This is its own thing. It's an online only game. So it's people are saying if you're wanting Fallout 5, this is not deliver what you want.
Yep. I haven't really got into Fallout, to be fair. I've got it, and I played it, and I did stuff with it, and I thought it was cool. But I don't know. I don't know why I didn't get into it.
Can suck the life out of you, my friend. You need to have a lot of free time.
Yeah, that's what I don't have a lot of. But what I am hanging out for is the next Red Dead Redemption.
That looks awesome. That looks really good.
That may actually require me to take some leave.
Well, I know the little fella has been playing Forza Horizon 4.
Yep.
And he's in heaven over that thing, isn't he?
Yeah, seasons, driving through different seasons. Every week, the online play is in a different season. That's quite cool. And driving through the English countryside, you've all got to enjoy that. I mean, if you enjoy driving through Australia with the last Horizon, apparently this one is as good. And, it's better. The seasons really do affect your driving, handling and everything. So, yeah. It was funny because we were talking about Forza the other day, and I thought to myself, no one ever talks about Gran Turismo anymore.
Have they released anything? What's going on? Craig would know.
Yeah, Craig would need to drag him on and find out what's happening there, because that used to be the benchmark of car games, right? Really?
Yeah.
And for me, it almost seems, and now I could be wrong here because I'm an Xbox fanboy. Forza seems to be a much better offering now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. Look, I don't have a lot of time. I play a few sports games.
How is your
I've
cricket
been
going?
playing. It's going very well, thank you. I'm almost at New Zealand Test level. Um, but other than that, I like it's because I can pop in and off. I just pause it and away I go. Right. I cracked open Forza Horizon 3 and started having a quick go of that recently. But I just don't have the time. And I think we both said at the beginning, we've been absent for a while because work's been dominating our lives. And yeah, those things take a lot of time up. And I've been flying, baby. I've been flying my quads.
Well, it has been summer for you, so now that you're heading into the wintry months, a
Yep.
bit more gaming is on the cards for you.
Oh, I've got 4 projects that I'm working on. I'll share them with you. I'm doing some Harmony Elite remote setup, more integration with Plex and Alexa. I am going to be building a Hackintosh from that side. I think a really powerful desktop Hackintosh so I can use Final Cut Pro for editing. I've got some quad stuff that I'm going to be building and working on, some prototype stuff. And I'm going to be teaching myself 3D printing and programming and design and everything else because I've got some 3D printers out in the workshop. We should film from my workshop one day. Now that I might have a new setup, I might be able to take some of the cameras out with me.
I've still got a bit of tidy up work to do here. You'll notice, actually, look there.
Ceiling.
Um, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get my finger right there somewhere. There's a light that's out of place in my newly minted man cave. Um, actually, see it better if I go to that view there. Um, I've still got to get the place all sorted out and tidied up, but I now have cats in my roof.
No. Maxwell.
Cats?
Cats, stray cats, have managed to make home in my roof cavity above my man cave. And so they're now pushing out all the light fittings. So this
No
weekend
way.
will involve possibly an air horn and some nets. I should stream it. It should be a hoot.
Yeah, as long as you don't hurt them, it'll be all good.
Yeah. Well, on a semi-related note, next week if we do this again, I may have a giveaway.
Ooh, oh, we'll have to do it again. We're just starting to get ourselves back into the
I'm
rhythm
just
of
not
things, aren't we?
sure whether I can courier cats overseas, so we may just have to limit it to New Zealand.
Fair enough.
Or, I mean, do we have to give away live cats? I'm not that cruel. I'm not going to do that.
Mate, where you live, you'd be in a pile of poo if you did anything.
Oh, absolutely. No. I can just join Gareth Morgan's crew and get rid of some more stray cats.
Oh, dude. All right, let's not go there. Let's not go there. All right, look, let's wrap this up. It's good to be back for another season. Look, good to get this going. Where can they find you and the Geeksphere crew?
Well, we've got our website still going, geeksphere.tv, where you can go and look at a whole bunch of the older stuff that we did. We need to redo that site, to be frank.
Yep.
I've actually really pulled out of social media in a big way. I'm not on Facebook anymore. We still have a Geeksphere Facebook page there, and we might get Craig to start running that a bit more. But really, if you want to get hold of me, I'm on Twitter, Urban Kiwi, @UrbanKiwi. Nice and easy.
Yeah, and I think look after the Game Guide, Geeks Guide, all that sort of stuff. Go to those sites and just check us out there, and we can catch up with you. If you've got anything, just annoy Craig. That's what we want you to do.
Yep. Send a message to Craig at geeksphere.tv. That's the best way to get hold of him.
Cool, man. All right. Well, it's been good doing this again. We'll get the little fella in next week, and we'll get this thing rocking and rolling again.